fresh day, fresh haircut. Forgot to do an intro on this one, that's why it's so complete. But by the power of video editing, we'll go back and see how it got to this point and beyond. Part 6, let's finish it. Right, first things first with this one. So these are my L19 uprated head studs. I've had to store these in engine oil because if any sort of moisture gets to them, and notice I'm wearing gloves, so even the oils off your skin and the moisture off your skin can cause hydrogen embrittlement. So I've had these stored in oil for nearly a year now, so hopefully they're not hydrogen embrittled. So we'll shot these studs in first, and with these, just make sure that they are lubricated with oil on the thread studs, but you don't want to put too much oil on the thread studs, because if you have oil that is too thick on head studs, ones that bottom out to the bottom of the block, you'll actually hydraulic lock the bottom of the stud hole, and if you keep forcing those head studs in, the hydraulic pressure has nowhere to go, and you'll probably blow the side of the block out or strip your threads, because you can't compress a liquid. So last thing you want to do is fill up these holes with liquid. I've blew mine out, I've had them washed out with brake cleaner, you name it, and I've re-tapped them as well, so these will go in absolutely fine. And they do have little Allen key slots on the top as well, so you can get them right down. Like I say, I've already tapped these, but they always are notoriously tight, I don't know why. Balls. So that threw me a little bit of a curveball. Some of these, because of the material, I don't know what it is, maybe it's alloy against differing metal, but it seemed to gall as it go in, so I just gave the threads another run over with the tap. Always had an issue with these head studs. Wonder if I maybe try 625s, but if I was going to do all this shit again, I'd get those drilled out for 11 or 12 mil instead of the 10 mil, and just overdo it like Dave Henderson has. So on to the good stuff now. This is our head gasket. You'll notice that it's got no fire rings at the moment, no fire rings in it. That's because it's what's called a Cooper ring head gasket, and the fire rings go in afterwards. So we'll pop this down over the top of here. Get it down. And then we get to put in the Cooper rings. I'll show you what these are. Cooper rings. Cooper rings are these little steel rings, and one side of them is ribbed or serrated, whatever you want to call it. One side of them is flat. The flat side goes against the cylinder block, because the serrated part, when you tight down the cylinder head, actually bites into the alloy of the cylinder head and creates a better seal than these multi-layer head gaskets that you're seeing. On the previous block, I did have a copper fire seal in there, but I'm moved against that because I've never actually done one before. Would have been a good time to practice, but I basically didn't want to use a multi-layer gasket. I wanted to use one of these head gaskets because it seals like a standard old Ford type with this sort of graphite material, so it'll give good sealing for the oilways and waterways, but then you get the sealing ability of the Cooper ring as well. So this is always a tricky manoeuvre because you've got this pipe on the end that I'll show you. glove caught in it there. So you've got to get the tensioner in between here. And that, some people put it on first. I forgot. So that is on. Brilliant. Doesn't seem like it's a lot of chain there, but it does fit over the tensions. Now it's time to put the nuts on. I did, because I'm a clever boy, go out and buy some spare ARP nuts for this. So these have got a chamfer on. So the chamfer, the flat bit, wants to go down towards the cylinder head basically. And I don't know if I mentioned before, these are 1mm bigger inlet valves and titanium retainers with Supertech springs, and these are 2mm bigger exhaust valves with titanium retainers. The inlets are stainless steel, nitrided black, and the exhausts are Inconel valves, so should be able to handle, and should be able to handle a bit of power. And that's what Andy from AL Developments, who did the cylinder head parting on this, which I'll show you in a bit, he said to me that's the issue with these engines. It's not getting the boost in, it's getting the exhaust gases out, which is a major issue with these engines. Put a little bit of ARP lube on the bolt, on the washer. Simple as that. And then we'll put the head bolts on. Bollocks. It's such a tight, small, compact engine that it really is quite hard to get fingers in there. Unless you're a small child, and I don't think small children rebuild these. Yeah, what I always recommend is doing that. Put them on the end of your magnet. Put them over the top like that. Saves messing about. And whatever you do, do not drop it down here. Otherwise you'll have to pull your engine all apart again. Do not drop it down the timing cover. Do not drop anything down there. As he says, he only dropped it down the timing cover. Fuck me. Nothing's fucking easy on this engine.
So what we're doing here is we're just tightening down the last of the head stud nuts by hand, and in the next section we'll be moving on to actually torquing the head down.
Getting close to it now. So Bartech recommends a torque on these L19 head studs of 3 stages, finishing on 110 Newton meters. So what I'm going to do is probably go to 30, 70, 110. That'll be our 3 stages. So got the big torque wrench for this one as well. Do myself a rum in a bit as well, I think. So I've had a successful day, edited another video, got my wig chopped. Right. Okay, so always when torquing heads, you start from the middle, working a spiral out so that you're spreading the cylinder head out from both sides like a piece of butter on a bit of bread. The block is the bread, the head is the butter, so you go out. And when you take it off, you go the other way, so you take it from the outside in, you go from the inside out when you're torquing wound. Spread it. So these are 16mm or 5/8, if that'll tell you if you're still working old money. First stage is literally so loose you can just do it with your fingers. And as I mentioned in the other video, I think I might have cut it out actually, but I did mention the reason why I've got the sniffles all the time is because I'm actually allergic to engine oil. So I'm allergic to everything that I find myself knee deep in: wine, beer, engine oil, bread, eggs. I'm allergic to all the good stuff. So that's why I stick to a very almost strict diet. Try and keep anything processed out of my diet, but I tend to drink distilled alcohol. It doesn't turn me upside down. So that was 30 Newton meters. I did say 30, didn't I? Yeah, that's the 30. Next stage, I'm going to add 40 and we're going to go to 70 Newton meters. Yeah, that's at 70. And what you'll find with these studs as well is as you get higher up the torque range, they start to ting as they stretch, and that always makes me very nervous. I never like to hear a bolt or a stud audibly stretch. Again, working from the outside in. From the inside out, sorry. Like I say, usually I'd put paint on these, but I don't need to because I'm doing it on video. Last one, 110 Newton meters. Go the other way. There's 100. Is that 110? Marvellous. I can feel them stretching. Oh, slip there. To get the shoes on for this because the wheels are rolling over my foot. They're stretching. Makes me so nervous. There we go. Getting close now. That one's stretching already. Lovely. These are always the hard ones to do because they're right on the edge. Oh, I was going to ask if you felt that, but I felt that. Fuck. There we go. On 110 Newton meters. Let's put the engine back to where it was. Whew. I've been in the gym for a while. Alright. Now don't forget, if you're thinking, shit, he hasn't timed the engine and he's bolting the head down, forget the cam carrier isn't in yet. So we could quite happily take that locking tool out that's keeping it at top dead centre at cylinder 5, rotate the engine, and it wouldn't matter because the valves are still closed against the head. So they wouldn't even touch. So I think the next thing we're going to have to do is, now we've got the head studs torqued up, put the hydraulic lifters in. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so these are the hydraulic lifters that I've got. I'll take them out of the packet so you can see them. Those are them. Tiny little things, but very effective and very strong. I had to pull the tops off mine and put a slide hammer down the middle and slide hammer these out to get them out, because they were seized in with all the metal shavings that were in the engine. Now some people will say about these that you're supposed to store them in oil and all the rest of that, squeeze the oil out of them, well, store them in oil before you fit them. That is not the way. The way I got taught when I was at engine building school was, especially with Ford, most hydraulic tappets, it was the old Ford Pintos we trained on, was you to squeeze the oil out of them before you fit them, so the oil pressure of the car will lift them up. Now, can't really see, but the oil journals are drilled right through here, and I always like to put, it doesn't matter because the oil pressure can get all the way around, but I like to put that little tiny hole, I like to face it into the oil journal. These do not move up and down. These do not move up and down, it's this tappet bit that moves up and down, so don't worry about anything like that, and that's lovely. They fit a lot easier than they came out, thankfully. It's important to remember there's 20 of these lifters, there's 20 valve, and I got 24 of them off eBay, Volkswagen part number, 100 quid, brand new, exactly the same part number as the Audi ones, so you don't have to break the bank on things like this, because I can't remember the exact Audi figure on these, but I think it was in the I think it was like 500 quid for them. So anyway, I'll quickly do this, enough of my gob, my fucking gloves, quickly do this, enough of my gob, get them in for you. Okay, now next to go on are my rockers. Now there's two types of rockers on this engine. There's the one with the fat the fat rollers and the ones with the thin rollers. Now the way I always remember is the inlet valves are bigger, therefore they have more mass, so therefore they need a larger surface area to run up against. So the inlets use the thicker rockers. Okay, that's the way to remember. Big valves, big rockers. Let's just give everything on there and there, just to protect it when it first starts up. Yeah, so remember, something missing off there, is there? Oh no. Like I say, easy way to remember. Big valves, big rockers. And you just snap those on the top like that. They've got like a little circlip on the top there. You just snap it on the top there, brilliant. And that is that in there. The cams roll up on there, push the valve down. I can't do it, but you get the idea. Lovely, quite a satisfying noise as well. What I'll do is I'll put all those in, inlet and exhaust side, because it's going to be a long video, this one. I'll try to keep the video length down. Catch you in a bit. As you can see now, we've got the full 20 rockers in there now. So what we can do is start preparing the cams and the cam bridle, the cam bracket, the cam carrier. We can start preparing the cam carrier now. So we'll have to move over to the parts washer, or my new workbench as it now is. First to go in is the, I'll tell you what, no, you do not put that in there. You put some lube on. So first to go in is the inlet cam, but you want some lube on the journals. Can't believe I forgot to do that. Never mind. Important to note on these, both cams, we have these little oil seals. They seal the passageway of the oil to the cam solenoids, which control the variators, and the variators using the oil pressure then control the cam timing, plus or minus 30 degrees via the oil pressure. So we'll just drop that in there carefully. You don't want to damage those seals. It's be a bit finicky, everything's finicky on this car. There we go. Right, that's in there, lovely. The spin's nice as well. Nicer than the last time it was spinning in there. Next to go in is the exhaust cam. I will show you that in a minute. Exhaust cam still has the little oil seals, very brittle, don't break those. However, you'll see a big difference between the two, and it is that this has this second camshaft floating over the original camshaft. What that does is, you see these two solenoid things here. What happens is when they're engaged, they engage in these grooves and change the cam from low lift to high lift or vice versa. Quite a clever bit of kit. So you've got the cam variators on the side that alter the timing, and you've got this on the exhaust cam which alters the lift. So timing and lift. So again, be very, very careful, because if you damage one of these little oil seals, and they have to be offset as well. If you damage one of these little oil seals, you won't have any, you will flash a code for oil pressure on the cam timing or cam timing code, and you'll have to strip the head again. So it's important that you check that. And what I'll just do is actually follow my own rules here and check that that is offset as well. Right, lovely. That is offset. Do not drop. Do not drop. There we go. That is marvellous. That is marvellous too. And these are the cam caps. They go on the underside, obviously, because this is the top of the rocket cover, as it's called. And you'll see that has a number 5 there, which corresponds to that 5. So I'll just put a bit of oil on there on 5, and there on 4, before we bolt these down. What we want to see when we bolt them down is these rotate nice and smoothly. So the 5 wants to be orientated the same as that 5 on there, so you know, squash that down. That is nice. Give this a clean. What is this one? This is 4, orientate that the same way as that 4. Alrighty. Three. Yeah, that's correct. 2. That's correct. And 1. Das ist richtig. Excellent. Right, I'll go and get the bolts for these, and we have to torque them down. Here we are again with a bit of geekiness. Is it geekiness? I don't know. But I replaced the original cam bolts. I replaced these for some ARP items as well. So the torque spec on these is 15 Newton meters. Move on the threads, move on the threads. Alright, there's all the underside bolting. I like them. I'll torque those down to 15 Newton meters. Get back to you. Won't waste your time on that. Okay, I want to show you something here. I've just torqued this up to spec, 15 Newton meters on each bolt. Now, I always say, if it turns over by hand, they're going to turn over nicely in the car. So this exhaust cam couldn't turn over by hand. And as I always say, if something's not right, don't force it. And this is a prime example of why. I'll have to take you out the phone holder for this. But you can see here, you see how that seal is nicely seated there. You see that one? I've caught that seal right at the part where it's separated so it can have tension on it, and that has sprung right out and it is stopping the cam turning around. So I'm going to have to take all this back off, see if I can resolve that, and see if I can see if the seal's still usable and see if that solves the issue. So yeah, stand by for that one. Alright, so let's investigate this, shall we? Hopefully the cam's alright. Shit. Oh, look at that, right on the edge. You can see where we caught that there. Okay, so these want to be staggered, but I've learned a new lesson, not to nip them. Okay. I think we can put that back down now. Yeah, don't want that one up either. Just staggered it down. Marvellous. Now, can we see any sticks? Does it stick? No, that turns beautifully. Give her a little bit more lube on here, both of them. And let's go for round 2. It doesn't matter which way around you put these cams, and that will become apparent when we turn it over soon. I'll just save the explanation when we get around to it. So I'll just talk this up and get back to it. Right, now we've resolved that issue. I'll go over and show you why it doesn't matter yet what position these cams are in. And the reason why is this. Now this is the cam bridge, and this is the only Audi tool I've actually splashed out and bought. That's because I tried every way and I couldn't find a way around it. But if anybody wants to build their own, these are just M7 bolts, and what you do is you turn this over. So I can get some cardboard. Yeah, so you remember the bottom end on this is already timed with the crank locking tool. So this is the next step. You just put the cam bridge in there, line up your holes. He's 11mm. Oh, that's weird. Let's do these up a little bit at a time to make sure this cam bridge is sitting on just right. Is that even on? that's definitely on. Oops. It's definitely on. We'll turn this cam cover back over and do our usual thing of 3 bonding the world. But first I'll go outside and I'll get some brake cleaner to resolve this oily issue. It's tricky, this one. Running out of space, man. Just fill that in there. This is probably the most unprettiest 3 bond I've ever done. You see in between there, the spark plug holes. I didn't seal the spark plug holes. So that's it. I'm starting to get fatigued, so I might call an end to this video soon. I'm starting to make stupid mistakes. Finally, I think we might be ready now. Oh shit. Tell you what, just because I'm anal, I'll put a little more lube under there. Now you can see that the other cam bolts go up from the top here, so we'll begin to bolt that down. So remember, the cam's timed up, the bottom end's timed up. We've got to torque this down to 15 Newton meters, and we can start putting the verniers on. Bit of ARP lube in all the holes. Right, I'm happy with that. these two won't actually fit until you've got the other ones torqued down, because you need the cam bridge out of the way. So I'll get on with torquing those down now. Turning these down is probably the scariest procedure of the whole build, because if I snap this, which is quite possible with the spring pressure, because I'm using uprated springs, I'll have to buy a whole new unit, and it's line board for the cams, so I'll have to buy new cams as well. So I need to do this very carefully. And there is a specific Audi torque sequence for this, but it's just not very good, because that'll push the centre down first, and we don't want the centre down. That side's already down, we want the back end down as well. So we're just going to bring this down slowly, and you just got to do it by eye. Hair-raising, to say the least. And you know if you're making progress, because if you give these bolts at the end half a turn, yeah, okay, they're tight now. So if you go down here and you tighten these, give those half a turn. Tighten that down half a turn, give that half a turn, give that half a turn, and just work your way back up like that. If it's made any progress at all, these bolts that were tight will be loose, which they are, so you can tell it's moving. You don't force it, as I always say, don't force it if you don't have to. Yeah, that's moving now. You can see the sealant squidging out the sides, which means I put too much squid sealant on it. Never mind. Now that hasn't went right, so I'll have to undo those half a turn, because now it looks higher at this end, and that's not good. That can cause it to snap. Got to saw back now. It's a good job it's towards the end of the build, because I'm getting tired. Might have to resume this tomorrow. Just check this is all square. It's coming down nice and square. That's fantastic. And after this, then we can get on to the specific Audi torque sequence, which is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Exactly the way you do cylinder head, just with more bolts. Alright, torqued it up to 15 Newtonian meters. Alright, give me a shout after I've torqued that up. That's the cam carrier all bolted down. now we're at pretty much the bit that people don't like to show you on the DAZA engines. So we'll leave the cam locator bolts in because we're going to put quite a lot of torque on the engine in a bit. So this is a bit of a finicky thing. So 2 cam variators, I have had these apart and cleaned them, that's why they've got fresh bolts in. You see that one's got eggs written on it, one's got X written on it, and one's got in. This is the exhaust side with the cam with the valve lift sensors on it. Now on here, on these variators, these are the timing marks, and these line up in the middle of these little notches here. So there's one here and one here, and they line up right in the middle. And the specific Audi tool for doing that, as always, all you need to use is an Allen key or something similar, and that'll give you the same result. So this one is for the exhaust. I'm going to put that on there just for holding. There is a real trick to doing this. So we know that is our... Also another way to tell is your exhaust has that spring on. So that's how that variator springs back. And this one has in written on, that's our inlet. Marvellous. So that goes on there. Yeah, see, that's an easy way to tell. So, you know, that'll tell you where you are. You want that there, in that middle of that notch. You want that there, in the middle of that notch. Easy peasy. Let's see if we can do it. Always takes me a bit of time, this. I found the easiest way to do this is get these over here like this. And get the cams off. Variators off, sorry. Put it over that guide there. Make sure it is on the high pressure fuel pump drive intermediate shaft. That spring can come off there, and make sure it is in that guide as well. What I always like to do is get the inlet one on first and keep tension on that. So you've got to time it up like this basically by putting that chain on, guessing that you've got it right there. Alright, we take Audi's fancy tool, knot, and we'll see that we are slightly out on there. Are we? Slightly out. Yeah, we're a tooth out. So I'm going to pull that back a tooth, put that back on there. So what I mean by this is finicky. It's been my favourite frigging term during this build, and I'm still a tooth out because I didn't take it down far enough. So I'm just going to turn it a tooth down like that. And you've got to be right on with the guide as well, because the guides can stop you going back on like this. This motherfucker here. Alright. So that's how fucking annoying it can be. See, it's dropped off. That's why it's not spot on there, because the chain has dropped off the high pressure fuel pump drive at the bottom. So I need that over to there. because it doesn't matter if it's like a half out or something, like half a tooth, because we can account for that half tooth in the timing. And I'm going to say you're going to say that's good. I'm going to say that's... What if I take it another tooth? Yeah, another tooth is too far out. So if you need to get it past that, just turn it back a bit and then tension that. And you'll see that we're fucking absolutely spot on there. All because that chain is back on where it needs to be. So yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare this. But once you've done it a few times like me, it becomes easier. And this isn't even the hard bit yet. The hard bit is actually getting the other one on. Yeah, that's bottom. Ah, see, I've got the cam chain under this timing cover, so I'll just turn it back a bit. That takes the tension off the belt. Okay, turning it back, a tooth just relieves tension on the belt, but it's still on the same timing position on the chain. So when you get it back on, fucking hell, no, don't do that. You see how that times straight back up to where it should be. That fell off back down there again. Marvellous. Okay, now it's time for the exhaust one, and this is a little more difficult because you've got to, that's a tooth out already. Is that spot on? That's from the wrong side of it. Ah, shit. This little guide, the chain's on the wrong side of it. Alright, so this is why I said it's hard. So you've got to get that into its proper orientation. That looks good, but that fell off from the other side of its guide again. You've got to force that over at the same time. Fucking hell, is that done? Is that correct? Wow, that is correct. So let's check the timing on that. Bang on in the middle. Bang on in the middle. Any slop can be adjusted within the cam timing itself. That's fucking spot on. Now, another dodgy bit is make sure you have new bolts. Audi's torque spec on this is 60 Newton meters and 90-degree turn. However, before I forget that, I need to put in the tensioner, you see there? Yeah, And there's a trick to this as well, surprisingly. Just going to do a light covering again. All we want to do, just seal all those oil wears. Ah, marvellous. And the trick to this is an awkward one, because I forgot you have to put it on before the chains. Marvellous. I'll do this and then we'll report back. Alright, so we fixed that little issue we have there. We can get on, because we've got the cam bridge on, torquing these down to 60 Newton meters and 90 degrees. What we also have upstairs is a little something to hold these still, because it's a hell of a force. You don't want to just be relying on these bolts. So this is actually the reason why I've got an extendable, because you have to put it through there to torque it, like that, you see. So okay, so you just put that through there so the slots in. Then you want to grab hold of this. What the fuck? $60. No, sorry, that's 60 Newton meters, and then we want to go 90 degrees. What's the wrong one? That's 90 degrees. That's 90 degrees, right there. So on to the next one. That's 60 Newton meters. Now let's find the best way to do 90 degrees. Is it going to be, yeah, pull it towards me probably. Yeah. Pull this towards me and push that away. There we go, a little bit more. That's 90 degrees. Yeah, 90 degrees. That's those tightened. And yes, we can pull that little pin out now. Or drill this, as I like to call it. Marvellous. That is that locked out. That's at that timing point. That's at that timing point. Now the proper procedure from Audi for checking the timing is 2 crank revolutions. And check that the timing marks are still in correct location. We've got to take out this cam timer as well, the crank timer as well.
At this point, I'm just removing the cam timing bridge. As you can see, the crank timing pin has already been removed from the crankcase. This will allow us to turn the engine over as per the Audi timing procedure, which is 2 full engine rotations, then check the timing is in the position that you set it to.
And he goes nothing. Oh, that's nice. That's right where it needs to be. Is it though? That's right where it needs to be. Okay. Yeah. Not going to get much better than that, am I? Because if I'm another tooth this way, that means I'm there. So I'm out. And if I'm another tooth this way, then I'm there and I'm out. If I'm one tooth this way, I'm there and I'm out. So that's spot on. Marvellous. Marvellous. That's it. Done. Just got to put this cover on, put the cam solenoids in. Job's done, man. Good, because I'm knackered again, been on it all day. And at this point in the video, it's usually where you switch to me being behind the engine block, all nicely finished, and me telling you what my plans were next. However, I didn't even get a chance to film the outro because the next day I went with my girlfriend and my family over to see my daughter in California, and on day 4 of the holiday jumped into the pool and totally and completely shattered my tibia. So that section of the video never got completed, unfortunately. So I'm not in my usual bedroom. I'm over in Redcar at my girlfriend's house. She's looking after me while I make the recovery. I'm about 5 weeks in. I've got another week to go and then I can start to learn to walk again. So yeah, it hasn't went to plan. Hopefully I can get back to work, start earning, get the engine fitted in the car. I've got a few friends coming over. They're going to lift the engine out the front room next week, put it in the boot of the car. I've got a little attachment that I can put on my leg and I'll be able to fit it that way with the engine crane. I'm pretty sure at this point I'll be able to do that. So I'll get on to doing a part 7 as soon as I can. Yeah, I apologise for the loading proceedings, but it's not something I planned for. So hopefully I can get back racing, set some times, because everyone is way out ahead of me now and I am lagging behind for the 2nd season in a row. So it is what it is, and I'll be back with it soon.